I've been at Stream for a little over 10 years now and have had about 6 different roles. And 4 out of those 6 roles were brand new to me, and some were even brand new to the agency. So this idea of like learning on the job, it wasn't really just an option. It was something that I had to do and was expected to do. And while there was absolutely this understanding from, of course, my supervisors, I think this feeling of being a learner as a leader stirs up those feelings of being an imposter, that I'm expected to oversee a team and expected to fulfill this role, but I'm still learning myself. And something that really helped me was shifting my mindset from feeling like I had to be this expert in every domain that my team oversaw, to really kind of accepting that it's okay that I don't have all the answers. And I think when I came to accept that and made my team aware that that was something I wasn't trying to hide behind, I was able to kind of promote and recognize the team a little bit more so they could showcase their expertise. So instead of me trying to step in and be the expert, I think being open about what I didn't know created those pathways for other people to kind of step up and have more visibility within the company. So that's definitely my experience, but something I'm still finding myself adjusting to, even in my current role now and after 10 and a half years.
So Sarah, do you think that that approach actually helped build trust within your team? And it kind of gives them empowerment too, right? They know that their direct superior isn't going to judge as critically. And I think when you have that kind of open framework and relationship, that it allows your team to be more creative and grow. And that trust is super imperative to building a new relationship with new people that may be reporting up through your organization.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lisa. I feel like it did create that trust, and it created a mutual trust that I was open with them about where I was lacking in certain skills, and they felt like they could be open to me about that as well. And it created this collaboration where we were a couple of us, especially like way back when our digital team was very, very small, we were working so close together to kind of build each other up. So, it wasn't about, I'll make this leader know everything and be the, one-stop shop for all the questions. It was, we're a team, we're not really about the hierarchy. And there's multiple experts within the team.
I love that.
Me
I'll take
too.
that advice as I jump into this new role. So
Yes.
you've already helped one person today, Sarah. That's
Oh,
great.
good.
I feel like that's an interesting approach to this topic, because it really applies some great lessons and a view of accepting it almost as a power rather than an insecurity. And I think that's the place that everyone lives in sometimes. I talk to a lot of women that are trying to find new jobs, and they look at the responsibilities and say, oh, I can't do that. But so much of their experience illustrates otherwise. So kind of leaning into that, I think, is an incredible lesson. Kate, did you have anything to share for this topic?
Yeah, I think, kind of similar to Sarah in a way, like I've had so many different roles. I mean, my background's in creative, and now 20 some years later, I'm in tech and IT. So sometimes you wonder how you got here, but I think, there's been plenty of times I've felt that same feeling of like, okay, now I have to figure out how to set up this department or this, I need to now tackle this challenge. But very similar to what Sarah said, I've learned to lean into it. I think if you resist it, you're just going to drive yourself a little bit more crazy in that feeling of not being able to fill that role. I've leaned into it with not just my team members, but vendors. I work with a lot of vendors, and I've learned a lot from working with them and clients along the years and not being afraid to kind of admit when you're not really 100% sure on something, but letting yourself responding to them saying, hey, I'll find it out for you, and really taking that ownership and doing that, kind of being a learner and going out and researching it and really kind of making sure you understand to come back and provide that answer. Just doing those little tiny things on the day-to-day, like, hey, I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you. You start to build your own confidence that way, instead of, having to feel like you just don't know and then feeling helpless. And I kind of look at myself, as often as I can to think, okay, what are our goals this year? And I kind of see too, like, where do I feel personally I might have some gaps? And I always try and squeeze in a webinar or squeeze in a training, just to, like, I'm never going to be an expert in everything. I have to admit that. I have to look at where I can really make my focus fit the moment in time and make sure it works for the team and the company and everything. And so I'm always trying to do these little trainings and again, just absorb from the team members that are the experts too. And I just find, like, if I sit back and listen and really take in what everybody I do working around me knows and does, I end up just learning from them and they learn from me. So it's a collaborative experience.
No, I think there's so many good nuggets in there, but one specifically is the continuous learning. I think if we reframe these I need to know everything at all times to the reality that so much is evolving around us at a pace that's so much faster than I don't think anyone could prepare for. But continuously learning and applying and surrounding yourself with people are the themes that I'm hearing from everyone. And those are powerful lessons. Is there anyone else that wants to jump into this really heavy topic before we move on?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just, to both Sarah and Kate's point, I think that relying on your team is huge. And if you can't get the answer, I often don't have an answer, but I know how to get that and who to rely on. And I think having a strong team around you and building them up also helps. And, always having an answer is not always the best thing, because you may be misleading people or giving bad information. So.
Yeah, I'll find out for you is just as good a response as, I know this thing, but it could be updated, or it might not be the full answer. Because I also feel like that's somewhat transparent too. And that causes doubt when you might just be feeling it, but now you're introducing the rest of the world to doubt that didn't need to be there. Great insights. Kavi, you had mentioned this, grow the place for growth and motivation when it comes to imposter syndrome. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm going to echo Kate and Sarah. So rather than seeing it as a roadblock, I see it as a fuel for growth. So if we don't step out of our comfort zone, we hold back ourselves from the growth. So whenever I doubt about my ability, I use it as a motivation to work very hard. So that helps me for the growth, for the career success. So let's not simply react to the feelings. Let's be proactive, which will enhance our career growth and lead to success.
I can relate to that, right? Like the need to, instead of living in what I'm hearing from everyone across this theme to start wrapping up this topic and moving into a next, is really sitting in finding success when it's so normal to experience these doubts. Finding success in it is really changing the narrative a little bit from whatever could be the negative, creating negative feelings, into how to turn that into positive, whether it be drive, motivation, surrounding yourself with people that could be the experts to allow you to do the thing that you do best. So I really love some of those lessons. What other strategies or lessons do you feel that leaders can implement for their businesses, or people can implement for themselves to prevent imposter syndrome, like limiting potential within their teams or themselves?
Yeah, I mean, at a executive level, I think it's looking at the executive team around you and the leadership team. Are they representative of the diversity within your team? Because I think imposter syndrome will always strike the hardest, where if someone feels like I'm the first in this role, there's no one else that looks like me, acts like me, in this particular role currently or previously. So there's no, pathway kind of already paved for me. So I think if, you're really evaluating again what that leadership team currently looks like now, because it has immense impact on the rest of your company, from higher level management to middle management to entry level. I also think something that isn't discussed often is how to train leaders on working with team members who struggle with imposter syndrome, because I think we all agree imposter syndrome hits the people that are actually the high flyers. So if you don't know how to manage that effectively and work with them on it, you could potentially, fail to nurture or grow a high flyer, or eventually lose them because, they can't get out of their own head, or they truly do feel that out of place at a company. So just something to consider from a visualization of the executive team and the training considered.
That's a really great insight. I didn't really think about leading and the fact that a lot of people that face this are high flyers. Just to add on to that, I feel that it's not just to new roles, because new roles you can also add the power there is in defining something together for the first time and joining them in structuring something that's brand new, because every leader comes across a role that is required that didn't exist before, but leaning into, we're going to be a part of building this together is such a powerful thing, to let them know that you're in it with them and that you don't know the structure. Obviously, this is something new. But also it's when you get to a new level of your career, it's also something that's very real. Women pursue becoming an executive, and then once you get to executive, there's not so much support in what that means and how to navigate that. So one of the things that I have found is to just connect with other people, whether it's inside or outside of your organization, because knowing that there are other people like you in similar seats, as you share those stories more openly, instead of feeling like you're the only one feeling this way, it definitely helps navigate your career in a very different way.
I also think that I'm sorry, Sue.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also think that, working remote is very challenging for someone who may be facing that as an obstacle in their career. Sometimes you feel like you're alone on an island, right? And the fact that Stream has so many executive women is so empowering. And the fact that, just this group here on this call today, I feel like I could reach out to any one of you and say, hey, listen, I'm struggling with something. Subi, you and I have had these conversations many times, completely off the cuff. I'm struggling with something. Can you poke holes? Can you give me some feedback? And being open to feedback and asking for feedback from people who are respected in your organization, I feel is something that we should all empower our people to do more of.